everybody, and welcome back to Fairy Rose Gaming. You're here with me, Rose, once again. And today we're back with Andromeda 6. I'm very excited to continue. Last we left off, we finished in a very long episode the first episode of the game. So now we're gonna get right back into it with Episode 2, Terranium.exe. Buzzing of the ship wakes me, giving way seconds later to the crackle of the intercom booming through my room. Rise and shine, people! Terranium is in our sights and we're set to land in approximately 1 hour. Time to get your asses to your stations! Stretching my arms above my head, I let out a loud yawn, lazily blinking the sleep from my eyes. It had taken some getting used to sleeping on a moving craft, and I could do with another hour or two of rest. Though rather than risk the captain's wrath, and probably Aya's too, I pushed myself out of bed, shivering as the cold metal floor touched my bare feet, and headed the adjoining bathroom to wash up. After my initial run-in with the crew and the rather unfriendly welcome from the captain, I had avoided leaving my room as much as possible the past few days, content to let Riona bring me meals and just generally fuss over my well-being. The headaches I'd been having since my accident hadn't quite eased off, and the potions and balms that the medic had brought me are the only thing helping me to get any sleep. After receiving my music box that first night, I had had the strangest dream. A faceless entity I had no memory of had visited me in my sleep, and her voice, soft but strong, gave me a new kind of hope. Since then, nothing else had surfaced. No memories, no voices, and I had kept the contents of the dream to myself. I have no idea who the woman is, lingering on the edge of my memories. Family, friend, or something else altogether. All I know is the sound of her voice made me feel something familiar. Something safe and hopeful. I'd like to keep that feeling to myself for a little while longer. The crew has been welcoming for the most part, but I'm still not sure exactly who I should trust, or if I should trust any of them at all. I finished washing up in the bathroom, and after deciding I can't put it off any longer, I headed to the bridge. The captain told me to stay out of my way, and I tried my best to, but I didn't exactly love the idea of being stuck in my room while we landed the ship. After having hit my head once already this week, I really don't need a repeat. Turning one of the many corridors, silently praying I haven't lost my way again, I almost bump into a figure coming out of one of the adjacent rooms, all lost in thought. A surprise sound escapes me, and a moment later I realize my hands are pressed against a solid wall of muscle, preventing myself from colliding with the figure entirely. Do you want to guess who it is? June! Baby. June chuckles and takes a step back, and I drop my hand awkwardly. Good morning, Rose. Sleep well. He waits for me to regain my composure before he continues heading down towards the bridge, matching his steps with mine. I slept terribly, thank you. I barely got a decent few hours. I think someone must have slipped something under my mattress. It was all lumpy and uncomfortable. I pressed my fingers into my side, prodding up the muscles that had tightened uncomfortably during my restless sleep. June gives me a sympathetic smile. Mine's not any better, I'm afraid, outside of offered to trade rooms. I couldn't have taken your room, June. I'm sure you have things in there that are private. Honestly, apart from a few extra weapons, my room is just as bare as yours. Oh, don't look like that. I'm not a fan of clutter, that's all. I love him. We walk in silence for a while, and although it's comfortable enough, I still find myself searching for something to say. So, are you used to being woken up by Ame shouting through the speaker every morning? It certainly happens more often than probably should, but I was already up. I don't sleep much. Insomnia? He slows, almost stopping completely as he gives me a thoughtful look. Something like that. His eyebrows dip, and I want to ask more, but something about his tone makes it clear that I shouldn't pry any further. So, how much do you know about Terranium? Not much, so I get the feeling it's not the most welcoming of planets. It has its ups and downs. I'll tell you a little about it if you like. And now, the prospect of learning more about this place we'll be visiting too good to give up. Terranium is a desert planet. The water there comes from various oases scattered across the surface, and the oases are largely controlled by the gangs and clans there. The planet's government, the Council of Embers, is negligent, corrupt. I fear they'll only become worse now that Zovek sits on the throne of Goldus. There's something dark in June's voice when he says this, some deep-seated resentment poking its head through that calm composure. I now notice the rifle that's strapped to his back, and I wonder, with a small twinge of panic, how bad this place really is. Terranium has long been known for drugs, robotics, and arenas. That's how they make their money. We're headed to Nosvega, the capital. It's not as savage as the smaller cities, but still, things can get wild, so be on your guard. We have a friend who owns property in the busier sector of the area of the city. It's a great place for gathering intel and laying low. So that's what we're doing there, gathering intel and laying low, amongst other things. I'm sure you're aware of the damage of the cargo hold. We'll find the parts we need to patch it up, then scope the area for a general overview of the situation in Celiota after the coup. Then we'll make a decision on what to do next. Aya mentioned the crew was in some kind of mess. What did she mean by that? She makes a strange face, as if considering exactly how much he wants me to know. It wouldn't be fair to drag you into that. The less you know, the better. Alright, I'll believe you, bud. We enter the bridge to a buzz of activity. It's clearly all hands on deck up here. Calderon and I are seated in the cockpit, the pilot flicking switches and pulling levers while the captain barks at someone through the comm he holds in his hand. An awkward laugh crackles in the receiver on the other side, and I recognize the voice instantly. I gotta tell you, there's a lot of noise down here, Cap. We'll make it through the atmosphere in one piece, but I don't expect the outer cargo walls to hold up during landing. Just make sure airlocks 3 and 4 are sealed. The hold's already shredded. Nothing we can do about it now. Aye, aye, Captain. Rihanna greets us with a smile from where she's buckling herself into one of the extra chairs, and when I feel a hand on my arm, I turn back to June. One more thing before we land. Just make sure you stay with one of us at all times, okay? I don't want to lose you so soon after bringing you on board. Feeling the newbie on all the lewd and lawless activities that go down in Nosvega, are you, June? Damon's voice floats over to us from where he stands nearby, sheathing a pair of daggers in a place on his thighs. Wow! Meow! My cats are being particularly noisy today. June folds his arms over his chest, giving Damon a hard look. I'd rather not worry Rose with the details so soon before landing. There's nothing to worry about so long as we keep our heads down. Damon grins, his eyes trailing over June lazily and a blade balanced between his fingers. Where's the fun in that? June rolls his eyes, unstrapping the rifle from his back and fixing it to the back of one of the chairs before he sits to strap himself in. I watch the thick green substance sloshing around the chamber just beneath the barrel of his rifle, wondering what it is. Don't listen to Damon Rose. Last time we were here, all he did was skulk around in the shadows and drink that disgusting shrimp juice they sell at the Ark. It's not shrimp, it's krill. With a little blue air and lemon juice. Don't knock it till you try it, cowboy. Why does that sound so good to me? I lived in Louisiana for a time, the place where literally everything disgusting tasted good, so. June makes a disgusted face, and I have to agree that the combination doesn't sound all that appealing. It does to me! I'll pass. It's Damon's turn to roll his eyes, and as June settles into his seat, ending the conversation, he turns to me. He looked even more menacing than when we first met, though that may be because he's smiling at me in a way that leaves me unsure if he wants to stab me or seduce me. Why not both? My eyes flicker over the bandolier across his chest, the knives partly concealed by his coat, and the twin daggers he keeps strapped to his thighs. What's the bandolier? Is that a gun? I don't know. I don't know my guns. I only know what's in Fallout. I wonder idly how he managed not to cut himself on all that steel, as I'm sure there's plenty more hidden where I can't see. Don't look at me like that. Wanna do a strip shirt? God, I ruined that. I ruined that with a goddamn speech impediment. Alright, I'm gonna try again. Let me just... Wanna do a strip search? What? Stop torturing Rose, Damon. I don't know how it's possible. Damon grins even wider, his head cocking to the side. In a moment, Trigger Happy, Rose and I have some business to conduct. I completely forgot any of the voices that I tried to do for any of these characters, so now it's just gonna be exactly what I want. I panic, my chest seizing while my mind ticks over what exactly he means by business. Well, I'm sure you had a conversation worthy of a perfectly pleasant brunch in June. I highly doubt the cowboy told you the half of what road is down in Terranium, so walk with me. I quickly realize he's not giving me a choice when he saunters over to a large control Skeen? Screen near the cockpit. I follow suit. Damon barely spares me a glance as his fingers fly over the screen, typing and scrolling through information I couldn't begin to piece together, even if I wanted to. Think of Nose Vega like a giant sandbox filled with loads of corrupted grains of sand. Kind of fun you'll find there isn't exactly legal, which means that's the best kind. He throws me a knowing grin before his eyes snap back to the screens in front of him. Casinos, bars, arenas, strip clubs, brothels, mods, weapons, dealers, you name it, they got it. I almost choke on air at the description of the planet, and when I part my lips to speak, no words come out. Calderon wanted to leave me in a place like that? I know what you're thinking. What kind of man is the captain of the digital lost lonely traveler in a place like that? Am I right? How does he keep doing that? I don't reply, but I'm sure my slack jaw and disbelieving stare tell Damon everything he wants to know. He chuckles a little, and I'm glad at least one of us is amused by the situation. That sounds dangerous. Wouldn't be fun if it wasn't. I bite down on my tongue to keep from answering. His definition of fun is certainly an interesting one. Still, trigger happy over there is right. You shouldn't wander around there on your own, especially if you don't know the place. He glances at me, giving me a once over from head to toe and pulling his lips into a tight, unimpressed line. Or if you don't know how to take care of yourself. I can take care of myself. Damon huffs a laugh, and I swear I hear him mumble cute under his breath. See, this is where you start getting him into a chokehold. I'd like to see that movie. In fact, I might even pay to see that, although I'm sure the cowboy would have a thing or two to say about it. I do nothing but narrow my eyes on him, to which he replies with a dark grin, as if that was the exact reaction he was hoping for. Anyway, I'm not your babysitter, and I don't particularly care what you do or don't do over there, so take this just in case. He pulls a black leather sheath from the pocket of his coat and holds it towards me. On closer inspection, I notice the glint of metal and a sturdy handle. He's giving me a knife. That's a dagger, but I prefer knife because then it sounds like the "What do you have? A knife? No!" Apparently not one to wait around for a decision to be made. Damon clicks his tongue at me impatiently. Take it. You'll need it. What idiot doesn't take it? My goodness. I hesitate for a moment, wondering if he's gonna stick it in my gut himself before I reach out and take it. He wouldn't do that in front of everyone. If what I've heard of Nos Vegas is true, it doesn't sound like the sort of place that should be wandering around unprotected. Damon cocks an dark eyebrow, a gesture that makes me wonder if he's surprised I took the dagger at all. Do you know how to use it? Stick him on the pointy end. You got that right. Try not to kill yourself with it, will you? I don't need another reason for the captain to be on my back. Damon, how are things looking on your end? Calderon's deep voice cuts our conversation short, and when I turn towards the cockpit, his attention is still firmly fixed on the controls in front of him. I would question if he's noticed my presence at all, having not received so much as a glance from him, but I don't think anything escapes that man. Radar's coming up clean, no active patrols in the quadrant for the time being. Oppo has the yard clear for landing, we're good to go. Ayame? We're coming into orbit, switching autopilot off to prepare for landing. All starts are looking good despite the, well, you know. Sebastian? Would it kill you to call me Bash like everyone else? Sebastian? Sigh crackles through the receiver, followed by Bash's voice once again, bright and bold. Engines are A-okay. Let's get busy. Damon snickers beside me, shaking his head before he pushes me towards an empty chair and sits me down. Does he even hear himself? I raise an eyebrow as he straps me in, securing the belts around me in place and pulling twice to ensure they're firm. Let's just be nice for now. Thanks. Damon winks at me and answers, stepping away once he's happy I'm securely fixed in place. Everyone take your seats, we're about to enter Terranium's atmosphere. The sound of metal groaning catches my attention when Damon takes a seat next to me, strapping himself in just as the ship lurches and rumbles. Leaning forward as far as my strength will allow, the beige-orange mass of Terranium surrounds us. The vivid neon lights and unusual buildings of North Vega growing closer and closer as we approach our destination. When we descend the loading ramp, the first thing that hits me is the heat. Not the balmy kind of warmth you find on a summer's day, but the scorch of fire engines and hot metal. The late afternoon sun hangs low in the sky, and a metallic, oily scent lingers in the air. I wrinkle my nose at it, surveying my surroundings. We're on a landing strip in what looks to be some kind of junkyard. Scrap metal piles up on either side of us, broken down robots, rusted, old hovercrafts, outdated androids. A graveyard of poor, unwanted things. Relief to step on the solid ground after the past few days in space, and I toe the dirt beneath my shoe, picking up a small cloud of dust as I do so. Falling behind the group, my eyes drift idly over the piles of junk surrounding us, till my gaze falls upon a Surum bot, an older model by the looks of what I can see of it, laying half buried within a pile of rusted limbs, metal arms, legs, and torsos thrown haphazardly into a pyramid. Step towards it, with black eyes, one cracked right down the middle, staring at mine, its mouth opening and closing slowly like a dying goldfish. Never runs through me, and I find myself feeling oddly sorry for the machine, left lost and alone amongst the skeletons of its own kind. Someone grabs my arm and yanks me aside roughly, and I see immediately what they've saved me from impaling my foot on. A piece of metal scrap lays half buried in the sand, its jagged edge poking up ominously through the dust. Be careful. Calderon gives me a hard look, his face schooled into an expression of pure annoyance. Thanks. I merely thanks the captain, though wonder why I bothered when he merely turns and keeps walking. I don't know why exactly, but he seems even more on edge on the ground than he did on the ship. I get the impression he's not too fond of the planet. I can't stop myself from scowling at his back as we walk along. The clouds are just growing thicker around us the further we get. June told me I should June told me I should stay close to someone while we're here, and after hearing about the planet, I agree with him. I'd feel more comfortable if that someone was. Ooh, big choice to decide. I forgot to minimize my screen. There we go. Now I'm not so much in your face anymore. Alright, so we got Cal, Damon, Aya, June, Rayona, Bash, or nobody. I wish I had more coffee that'd help me decide. But I'm all out of coffee now. It's a tragedy. I'm gonna go with June. Because one, he is perfectly in the middle, and two, I love June. I fell into step beside the gunman, who gives me a gentle smile and moves a little closer. His smile! I'll watch your back while we're here, Rose. Try not to make the task too difficult for me. He nudges me a little and I bite down on my lip to stifle my grin. I'll try my best not to. We don't have to walk much further until we're greeted by Scaled, lizard-like being who smiles and spreads their arm wide to welcome us. It's them! I break away from the group a little to get a better look of our host. Welcome, my friends. God, that's like... Let me just get a forked tongue and a snaky voice. Oppo is so very, very happy to see you again. Let me turn down the music a little. Almiron steps forward first, a rim of impatience hanging thick on his words. Skip the pleasantries, Oppo. We're here on business. Oppo drops their arms, surveying Calderon with an almost fearful look. I don't blame them, really. The captain is an intimidating man. Yes, yes, of course. Do you have the parts? Right over here, Captain. Calderon strolls over to the pile of metal Oppo indicated towards with Damon in tow, while I step forward to give Oppo a much friendlier greeting. How have things been around here, Op? She smiles up at the lizard, who towers above her and makes a non-committal kind of sound. Bad, very bad since the Chimeri took over power. Oppo barely gets enough water to keep the club running, now that they have control of the council. Every oasis on the planet is under their order. Aya's eyebrows dip, her expression shifting to one of pure horror. Novak gave his clan control of the Council of Embers. Yes, the old counselors executed. Many of the arena fighters have been taken from the planet, made to serve in the king's army. Oppo fears bad things are coming to all planets. June frowns, and I can't help but notice Oppo shy away a little, having only just noticed he was there. I fear you might be right, Oppo. Council of Embers. I ask Bash, who's standing beside me, and who whispers back his answer. The Council of Embers is Terranium's government. Every planet has one. Council of Aeons on Tolaran, the Council of Iron on Cursa, and the Council of Essence on Orion. There's also the Council of Pearl before Catalpa was destroyed. All the masters of the Crown Council on Goldus, who in turn answers to and advises the Monarch. The Monarch. Zovak. Bash makes a face, and I wonder if it was the wrong thing for me to say. Most would argue against this claim. Monarchy has always been passed down from the royal Pegasi family ever since its creation. Zovak fought his way to the throne and took it by force. He's a ruthless man, and his clan, the Chimeri, are just as bad. While June and I carry on the conversation in hushed tones, I feel a hand on my back as Bash steers me towards Oppo, hailing them with a wave of his bionic hand. Oppo, I want you to meet Rose. The Arcanos looks me over, their beady eyes blinking rapidly and their forked tongue darting out from behind pointed teeth. Mr. Bash has brought Oppo a new slave, yes? Oppo, no! Oppo, no. This is our new friend. And they're not slaves, they're employees. Yes, employees. That's what Oppo said. Bash shakes his head at the lizard, then leans in a little closer to whisper to me. I do not give Oppo slaves, just so we're clear. An ungraceful snort escapes me. Crystal. I feel a nudge on my arm, and when I turn, Oppo is beside me, teeth bared in a pointed smile. You will come and work for Oppo, yes? Better than slumming it with the Astrometer crew. It's Andromeda, Oppo. How many times have we been over this, bud? Oppo blinks at Bash once, and then twice, ignoring him completely as they turn back to me. The spot just opened up in Oppo's club. Very popular tourist destination. Oppo will give you a good price, no need to worry. Back off, Oppo. This one's with us. Calderon shoulders his way past the Arcanos, staying between us and blocking me from Oppo's beady eyes. Please don't let me become a slave, Mr. Cal. I can't see Oppo's reaction, but I hear the reply clear come from Calderon's other side. Yes, Captain. Once. How much for the parts? 2,000 credits. 2,000! Calderon leans in and says something to Oppo in a harsh whisper I don't understand. I realize after a moment I've spoken another language entirely. Sexy. For you, Oppo will take 400. And Oppo's junkers won't start the parts for you, free of charge. Calderon leans back, crosses his arms over his chest, looking awfully pleased with himself. Oppo, did you just get threatened? You go to the club while you wait. Show your new friend our hospitality here in Nos Vega. I suck at the sneaky voice. No chance. I'm staying with the ship. Come on, party pooper. The ship's in good hands, isn't it, Op? Yes. Oppo will take good care of it. Calderon looks unconvinced, though he heaves a sigh despite his hesitation, and Aya gives him an excited clap on the back before she turns to me. We're gonna have so much fun. Streets in Las Vegas are minefield in neon lights, tiny shop fronts and stalls, and all manners of creatures roaming the city. Doesn't take us long to reach our destination, stopping outside a large, odd-shaped building with a fluorescent sign in the front reading the Ark. Oh, the backgrounds in this game are so good. I love the backgrounds in this. I love the art in this game. Wonderful job for the artists, Deli and T, for the backgrounds and the character art. Oh my god, it's so good. The bar we enter is crowded, overflowing with humans, Catalphans, Arcnotes, and some species I've never seen before. The crowd in here is so diverse, so colorful and unique that I can't help but let my eyes wander. A small group of Arcnos hides away in a corner of the back, low hisses and chirps the only thing to be heard amongst their heated discussion. Waiters hurry through the crowd dressed in tight, dark outfits. mostly human with varying degrees of bionic alterations. Synthetic limbs, cybernetic enhancements, some of them even look more animal than human. A couple of Catafans stand out amongst the crowd, the gills shimmering brightly with some sort of pearlescent substance. I'm not sure I can see myself sporting glitter on my gills, but it's definitely a statement look. It doesn't take long to realize there are no Talari, and I wonder idly why that is. It feels like the kind of place someone would come to disappear, to escape. To disappear in a crowd, lose yourself for a night, or even forever. I wonder if the crew feels the same, if there are things, places, people that they too would wish to escape. The Ark is most definitely a world of its own, and I wonder how deeply it would drag me down the rabbit hole if I let it. Oof. Personally, I love club scenes. I've never been in a club, but the idea of it sounds very. I keep looking at my coffee cup, expecting coffee to appear. There's no coffee. But yeah, I've always been interested in the big city scene. I've wanted to move to like downtown New York, Los Angeles as a kid. I've always loved the big city scene. It's busy, bright, and exactly what I need after the stuffiness of the ship the past few days. I feel sort of rushed I can't explain as my eyes flick around the room, taking in the bar, the lights, the patrons. I really don't know where I want to begin. My eyes dart to June beside me to find him as calm and collected as always, despite our surroundings. Though on the outside he is the perfect picture of serenity, though his eyes rake over the scene in front of us leads me to believe that there's more going on inside that head than expected. Our hands brush slightly and a chill runs up my arm, freezing me into the spot. When our eyes meet again, June smiles at me, and a little of the knot in my stomach starts to unwind. More than a few eyes watch as we enter, sizing up the newest patrons of the club. Most seem to know the crew, and while some are friendly, offering greetings or simply the nod of their head, others are not so much. Crew don't seem to mind the odd, unfriendly glare they receive, either ignoring it completely or in some cases, giving it back just as rough. Don't wander too far, it's safe enough in the club, but don't leave this place on your own. Calderon gives me a hard look before he heads towards the bar, and I resist the urge to roll my eyes at him. Damon grins at me knowingly, nudging past me to join the captain. We'll be back here in a couple of hours. Ayame flashes a smile, skipping toward the curtain near the back of the room. When she pushes it to the side, I get a glimpse of a stage so long it almost looked like a catwalk. June lets out a weary sigh from beside me before striding off to catch up to the pilot. I smiled at myself a little, watching him go. There's something I like about the way he seems to look out for everyone. Don't get into too much trouble. Ash grins and I watch as he heads off to a separate room off to the side of the building, Riona hot on his heels. I peek through the door a little before the curtain floats back to its place after them, catching a glimpse of felt-lined tables and plastic chips in different colors. Deciding I'd like to learn more about the crew and my future with it, I push my way through the crowd and find myself at the bar. Here's a little stowaway. Damon grins at me wide and wolfish, leaning sideways against the bar. What'll be, newbie? The most important decision of this entire game, I'm sure. Our choice here is going to define who we are as a person and what is going to come back to bite us in the ass. People are going to be our friends depending on this decision. I am 100% sure of it. There are going to be so many consequences for what we choose here. But with that said, this is all the time we have for this episode today, because I don't want this to be as long as the other episode. Anyway, this has been wonderful, and I'm really enjoying this game with y'all. Yeah. Episode 2, I'll drink to that. Anyway. What a great game. I'm very excited to play with y'all. Anyway, if you like this content, let me know down in the comments below. Tell me who you want me to romance. Because, wow, what a ride this is gonna be. If you like this, leave a like below, And if you want more space, romancy, consequence defining content, then subscribe to Fairy Rose Gaming. And I will see you all in the next episode. Bye bye!